One of the things that you can do to make your life a whole lot easier is identify repetitive tasks or tools that you use that need to share data and create a Zap or an automation so that the data flows from one tech tool to the other without you having to do what's called double data entry. So I'll give you an example of how I use Zapier. This one is going to connect a combination of Google Sheets, ChatGPT, and MailChimp. So I'm using this example to show you how you can automate the creation of a newsletter or an email that you want to send out to your mail list. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go into Google Sheets to give you an idea of how this works. So in this automation, what I am doing is creating a topic for a newsletter that I want to create. So I've created a Google Sheet that has two tabs. One is called Topics for the Month. The other is called Daily Topic. And so what I do is create a list of topics that I want to create a newsletter about. So ideally, if you're going to create a newsletter once a week, then you would create a similar spreadsheet and you're only going to have 4 topics because you're going to do 1 per week. What I would encourage you to do is to actually come up with 52 topics at one time. And what that allows you to do is create 52 newsletters, 1 for each week of the year, and then you can have ChatGPT write those newsletters. And then what's really cool about this automation is it's going to give a topic to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to create the actual newsletter and save it as a draft in MailChimp, which is my email marketing solution. So if you can come up with a spreadsheet like this and create 52 topics, then you can have ChatGPT create 52 newsletters and then send it to MailChimp as a draft, and that gives you 1 newsletter for each week of the year. And once it's done, you don't have to touch it again. So I'll show you how this automation works. I like to use what I call sassy topics. So just to give you an example, with MailChimp, I can have my subject, and then it also has what's called preview text so that whoever is receiving it can kind of get an idea of what the newsletter is going to be about. So I'm just going to enter how to use automation, how to use Zapier with MailChimp to auto create a newsletter. So that's going to be my topic, and my preview text is going to be want to put your weekly newsletters on autopilot. Okay, so now I have my topic and I have my preview text. So what I'm going to do is copy my topic and my preview text to my daily topic. And so now it puts it here. Okay, so now that I have this topic here, it's actually going to, I have an automation through Zapier that's actually going to send this topic and this preview text to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to look at this topic and create a newsletter based on this topic and then create a draft in MailChimp. It takes a couple minutes for it all to work, so I'm going to show you what the actual Zap is, and then we'll go back and look at what it did for me in MailChimp. So I'm going to go to Zapier and we're going to create this Zap. So I'm going to click on create, and I want to create a Zap, which is an automated workflow. I don't want to use the, they have added some AI in here that'll do everything for you, but I want you to know how to do it. So we're going to walk through it step by step. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to name my Zap. And I'm going to name my Zap weekly newsletter creation. All right. Because that's what it does. It's going to create a weekly newsletter. And so my trigger is going to be, I have to select what's my trigger. My trigger is going to be a Google Sheet. And so now I have to connect this to my Google Sheet. So I want to show you how, I have to connect this to my Google Sheet, which is already connected, so it's not prompting me. So if you don't have it connected, it's going to prompt you to log into your Google Sheets. You can see it's connected to my Google Sheets already. If yours isn't connected, you'll be prompted to connect your Google Sheets to your Zapier. So now the event is whenever there's a new or an updated spreadsheet row. Okay, and then the next thing that it's going to ask is which spreadsheet. So now I have to tell it which spreadsheet. And my spreadsheet I want it to use is called Newsletter Topics. And then because I have 2 tabs on that spreadsheet, I have to tell it which one I want it to look for, a new or an updated spreadsheet row. And I want it to use the daily topic, and it can use any column on there because I'm updating the topic and the preview text. So whenever it sees that there's been a new topic or preview text or a change to one of the topics or preview text, it'll know to send this to ChatGPT. So any column is fine. So I'm going to click continue. And then it's going to ask me to test. So it wants to make sure it's pulling the right information. And you'll notice that they've pulled some data on today's date. So I'm not even going to look at it. I'm just going to say we can use that record. And so now I have to tell it what to do once it gets that information. And what I want it to do is I want to connect this to ChatGPT. Okay. And I want it to create, and it's called a conversation. So it's going to create a conversation. You can see all of the different options. You can analyze an image, analyze text, classify text, create a conversation, which is what we're going to do, create an assistant, transcript, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of different things that you can do. One of them is also write an email. So actually, I think I can do a couple things now. So what I think I may do now, I had to do 2 steps before, but what I think I may do now is, no, I'm going to just continue doing what I was doing. So we are going to create a conversation because I want you to see how this works. Now it's asking me to which chat GPT to use. And you see I already have one that's connected. It's been used in 5 Zaps already. So we're going to use that one. I click continue. And so now I have to tell it which of the models I want it to use. There's Turbo 4, and then there's 4.0, which is the latest. I think the 4.0 is also the one that you can use if you have the free version as well. So what I am going to do, I'm going to use the Turbo. And then what I want it to do is, let's see, now I have to tell it exactly what it is I want it to do. So I don't, the user message is going to be, please create a newsletter based on the topic and preview text. All right, and now I am going to tell it, okay, you are a copywriter that has 20 plus years of experience in writing award-winning engaging and informative newsletters. Please create a newsletter based on this topic. And then what I am going to do is insert the topic. And notice this is the one that we put in. And this preview text. Make the newsletter fun, engaging, informative, and shareable, such that the readers feel compelled to share the newsletter with their besties to build my mail list. Okay, so now I'm telling it what I want it to do after it gets the preview text and the topic. I don't need to change anything. I'm just going to leave everything else as is. So I'm going to click continue. And it's going to test it. So this is the message it's going to receive. You're a copywriter, blah, 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 blah. I'm telling it to create a newsletter based on the topic and preview text. And we're going to test it. And basically what it's doing is making sure it can connect to my chat GPT without any problems. And it takes a little while. Okay, and so now I can see what the response is. Look, it's already showing me. It's called it Automation Alley, and it's saying Mastering MailChimp and Zapier. Get ready to put your newsletters on autopilot. And look at the information. The response is already done. So this is the newsletter that it is creating for me. So I can say publish, but I actually want to add another step. So I'm going to click Add Step. And this time I'm going to add MailChimp, because what I want it to do is copy that response that it created into the actual draft of the newsletter in MailChimp for me. So I am going to, for my MailChimp is already connected. If yours is not, or whatever email client you use, you would add that one and then you would connect it. What I want it to do is to create a draft. I don't want it to actually, I want it to create a I don't want it to send the campaign. So if I have it to send a campaign, that means it would automatically send that campaign to all of my audience. What I want it to do instead is to create the campaign, because it's going to create it in a draft. That way I have a chance to read it before it gets sent out. So now I'm having it to create a campaign. So I'm going to click continue. And what it's basically doing is connecting to my MailChimp. And then for me, I already know what the topic is because I gave it the topic. So I'm going to click on this plus sign, and I wanted to use the topic that I added to my spreadsheet. Remember we looked at that Google sheet? So all I did was insert the topic because that's what it's going to name that campaign. And then I have to tell it what audience it is. And my audience is Structure or Chaos. And then I'm not tagging it, but if I had a specific segment or I wanted to send it to people who were tagged with a certain tag, I could add that tag. So I'm also going to make the subject the same as the topic, so it makes it easy for me. And then also my preview text, because remember, MailChimp allows me to do preview text. And then for my from name, I am just going to have it from Karen, Carrie, and you would just enter your from name. And then my email address. Okay, and I am really not as concerned about the two because right now I just wanted to create a draft of it. Same thing with the content. I do want it to be HTML. I'm not using a template. If I had a specific newsletter template, I could select template and then select the newsletter template, but I'm just going to say HTML so that all of my links stay together. And then the content that I want is going to be what ChatGPT created for us, which is going to be the reply. So I'm going to insert that. And the only thing that I will have to do is just go in and change any of the formatting that I want. So that's all I need to do. I'm going to click continue. And what it's going to do is test the step. So it's going to make sure that it can send that information to from ChatGPT to MailChimp. And it tells me that a campaign was sent. So I'm going to publish this because now I know that our Zap is working. And I don't have to do anything else. So I am going to go to MailChimp. I'm going to refresh. My computer's moving just a little slowly. And notice it's in here twice because remember I showed you initially when I added that topic and that preview text to my Google Sheet, I told you that I already had a Zap that was going to create the newsletter for me. And then we just walked through how to create that Zap together. And so that's why you see it on here twice. And you can see the time differences as well. And then all I would have to do is click, because it's a draft, I can click on edit. And now I can see. So right now it's going to go to everybody on my mail list. It's from me using the email address that I entered, using the subject that I provided. And then the only thing I would have to do is just edit the content because all it did was put the text. So I would have to come over here and format it so that it's legible. And that's why I don't have it to send automatically. I just have it to create the campaign in a draft format so that I can come in, because this gives me the opportunity to format it, review it, make any additions I want to make to it. And then when I'm satisfied with it, I can send it. But do you see how this can greatly simplify your ability to send a weekly newsletter or an email? Another example that you can use this for, you can do a similar process for onboarding so that you automatically send emails out to new clients as you onboard them. You can do the same thing for offboarding, or when somebody books an appointment with you, you can also have a sequence like this that you automate with Zapier. Let me know if you have any questions. You know, this is my jam. This is where I come alive. Let me know how I can help you to use Zapier in your business, because the whole purpose of this challenge is to help you learn how to implement these tools into your business. So let me know how I can help you. Let me know if you have any questions on how to use this as well. Talk to you soon.